So, over the past few years, the BFSI landscape has seen a shift from branch-first to app-first engagement. And today's consumer expects instant, intuitive, and integrated digital experiences. We all know that. While consumers are embracing digital platforms, trust remains the cornerstone of the BFSI relationships. The challenge is to balance automation and personalization, ensuring that the efficiency of AI and data doesn't come at the cost of human connection and transparency. And putting that all together is this esteemed panel who's going to kind of give you all an understanding of how the next gen BFSI ecosystem is created. And I'll start my first question. It's to you, Aashir. What key traits define the next gen BFSI consumer, and how should marketers adapt strategies to effectively engage this digitally native audience?
Hi, good evening, everyone. This is Aashir from HDFC Bank. Interesting question. See, I think we've come across a generation which has possibly never seen a passbook in their life, right? And also possibly never walked into a bank branch, so to say, right? For them, the entire banking ecosystem lies in their 6.5-inch screen of their mobile phone, right? So bank for them is an app, really. It is not an institution. And that's how they are also, benchmarking all their experiences, service levels, right? So it is, fortunately, unfortunately, today, it is not about how an HDFC Bank is doing versus an SBI Bank or an HSBC or, an American Express, right? It is about how an HDFC Bank fares versus a Netflix or a Spotify or an Amazon for that matter, right? So is my bank really giving me a Netflix level of personalization with a Zepto level of convenience, with an Amazon level of customer experience, right? That is one of the traits. Secondly, I think the digital native so far, or the next gen, right? They're time poor. They have an attention span of a goldfish with ADHD, right? And I say this with all love and respect because I'm probably describing myself also along with this, right? So they're very impulsive, so to say. Are we as a bank or as financial institutions really meeting them with their needs? That is a question, right? And interestingly, I think paradoxically, they are impulsive and extremely, incredibly research-driven at the same time. So they will spend 3 hours, 4 hours on a Reddit, just trying to understand which is the best credit card or which is the card which is giving them that 1% extra cash back. But when they are actually applying for the card, they want it done in 3 minutes. So that's really a paradox we face. Now, how do we as marketers, meet their needs, right? So we have to somewhere meet them between where they are, which is between, say, an Instagram and a UPI app, right? Are we giving them that kind of service experience where they're saying, I can order pizza in 2 taps and get it delivered in 30 minutes, but really a personal loan is taking me 20 taps and then 3 days of waiting, right? So that's a question we need to ask ourselves as financial institutions. That are we preparing ourselves enough for meeting these needs of the next gen so far?
Well put. Nikita, from your experience with Tata Capital, what do you have to say about the key traits that are there in the next gen BFSI consumer, and how should a marketer, as you be, what strategies should you adopt, and how effectively you want to engage that digitally savvy native audience?
Yeah. So Lawrence, I think, and we were discussing also earlier that the goals of the newer next gen has shifted than what it used to be before. And rightly so, because while they are looking at a very different world today, so they have a lot of exposure. They are consuming a lot of content. So we don't really have to compete in terms of getting their attention. We have to make sure that we are keeping them informed. We have to make sure that we are keeping them involved. And we have to make sure that we are keeping them respected. Because they value others' opinions, but they also value where they stand and what they stand for. So when it comes to core strategies, specifically for a digital native audience, one is obviously making sure that whatever promises we are making or whatever values that we are standing up as brands, it has to get reflected in the lived experiences that the next gen is seeing. For example, if we are saying that we are a very innovative brand, or if we are saying that we are very seamless in terms of technology, it should get reflected in the UPI, of the entire experience that we're giving them. Or if there is a loan disbursement, how much time is it taking? Are there any hidden charges? How transparent are we with them? And how are we communicating it with them? Because it is a cluttered market. We need to simplify finance for them and not complicate it further. So that is definitely probably a way in which we should operate, where we don't add to the clutter, but we declutter things for them and understand what their needs are. Instead of making a one-fits-all kind of a model with respect to marketing, how can we customize it further? How can we reach out to the audiences for the life stage that they are in, for the type of decisions that they are making at this age, and how evolved they are with respect to knowledge? Understanding that and then probably deciding or deciphering the entire requirement is what I feel will help.
Thanks. Rathin, coming to you now. Same question. I know from a very different perspective, from an insurance perspective, how do you deal with such an audience?
Yeah, so let me get a little different take on it. So I'm with SBI General Insurance. General Insurance largely covers health and motor. So the typical age at which a consumer enters is mid-30s, right? Motor for two-wheeler is very young, but let's say a four-wheeler is older. Now, so the first point I want to make is that, let's say, this whole digitization has been around now for at least 15 years, right? So personally, if you ask me, I think while one needs to look at the next gen audience, because they're the young guys and you need a pool of customers coming in, what is important today is first to understand that today everybody is digital, right? Because if your consumer segments are typically 30 to 50, 55 for most, from mutual funds to life insurance to whatever, everybody is consuming content digitally and searching on products digitally before they make a choice. So even if they go to a bank, they would still go on Google or whatever and then check how the product reviews are or so on. So to my mind, that is one. So what is important to understand is that there is a whole digital ecosystem which has got created. One part is the consumer. Second part is, let's say, the channel partners. And even to reach out to them, because let's say somebody like us has channel partners right up to Arunachal Pradesh and Ladakh and wherever else. It's just easier to kind of disseminate via WhatsApp or via a closed email group and so on. So first, like I said, is the consumer audience is largely digital. Second, that there is a digital ecosystem and one needs to look at it. The third thing I think which is very important for a marketeer's point of view is, see, broadly the marketing funnel has remained the same. You need to make a consumer be aware of the product, he needs to consider it, purchase and recommendation. Now what's happened is, in the analog world, you would speak to your friends or you'd speak to your family members, your elders for financial products and decide. Today you're going on X or Reddit or wherever, looking at so-called influencers and reviews and so on, right? So what is important here is to look at that same marketing funnel and see how you can kind of turbocharge it, right? So, for example, if you launch a new product, you get in people who transact immediately online. Can you get them to recommend? Can you get them to do simple things like posting on their social handles? Because that itself then becomes your media. So there are, so these are some of the points. I mean, it's a deeper discussion, but
No, it makes complete sense. Varun.
Hello. Hi.
Hi. I'll just repeat that question again. I know it's...
Yes, please.
Yeah. So, again, from a Motilal Oswal Financial Services perspective, what key traits for you define the next-gen BFSI consumer, and how should marketers adapt strategies, or rather you would adapt strategies to effectively engage this digitally native audience?
Super. The key traits that, I mean, we've heard of this a lot, right? It's a digital first consumer. This is the same audience who's grown up with internet, has content at disposal, has things on disposal. So 2 clicks, 10 minutes in delivery, and so on and so forth. But I think one thing that we realize is that, and especially that we see closer to the market, is that because I represent financial services, the perspective would be that there are about, I mean, don't catch me by the numbers, but just an analogy, right? So there are about 18 crore Demat accounts in India, okay? There are about 18 crore PAN card accounts, PAN cards in India, 10 crore Demat accounts. Within that, there's a 3 crore, which is serious stock market Demat traders who move the market, right? And within that there is this fulcrum of about 2 lakh audience, which are literally, allegedly moving the markets. The reason I'm telling you all of this is that 70% of people coming into the markets are actually 30 years old, guys. Now that is a fairly strong representation of our audience. The same guy who's ordering food, the same guy who wants things on lightning fast speed, loves scrolling, hates waiting, fidgety. And when I say all of this, and all of us would actually feel this is my story, right? So technically we are the next gen BFSI audience. But ultimately what that means is that there's a significant shift of how we also, our expectation of finance has completely changed. Especially when you look at financial services where certain things have been pushed down by parents to say, ye karna chahiye, ye hona chahiye, ye, by now you should have this. This audience hates being told. So the only way is that you lure them into learning, understanding, and therefore showing the path. You can show the path, you can't take them on the path. So that's the difference. And therefore, a lot of shift you can see, especially with the entire digital disruption happening in financial services, with where beautiful looking apps, UI, UX experiences have become the golden benchmark of great investing. Which is not the case, right? When you look at investing, ideally research should be at the core and the center of everything that you do. But because, Aashir mentioned this very well, because your competition of your brand is not technically your own peers in the category, but technically the Zeptos of the world and the Swiggis of the world, and your brand is being judged on that. So therefore, tailoring that experience, but staying true to the core is extremely very critical. So one of the things that we've tried doing is, because of the larger disruption happening in the category, where everyone wants to pay minimum brokerage but maximum value. So we created something called Research 360, which is for this audience. Essentially, what that means is you research given on subscriptions. You very interestingly mentioned saying, you give me some tips. This is exactly that, right? So in a country where you don't want to miss out on opportunities, and this is that audience, but don't want to commit to a broker, and therefore this is one of the ways of how we are sort of trying to tackle. Yeah.
So the research capabilities of this audience is pretty higher than what any of us would have come across. And but that doesn't mean that we had a discussion up there. That doesn't mean that next gen is the only guys who are consuming this. There are also mature audiences who want to kind of get into that, and we are already catering to that kind of lot. But interesting. Now, coming to my second question, I'll come to you, Vishal. Not now, later. How can financial brands, Aashir, leverage digital channels and technologies like AI and data analytics to deliver personalized and seamless customer experiences? Because I think we have established this fact that as personally you get with this kind of audience, the success ratio is higher. Yeah, please go for it.
So I keep telling everybody actually that, this whole data analytics and AI is the new relationship manager for a customer, right? Except that it is available 24/7, doesn't take any coffee breaks, right? And today, honestly, as a financial company, and that holds true for any financial company here, really, we're sitting on a goldmine of data, right? We know exactly everything about the customer that we have to know. We know when his salary hits the account, how much is his salary, where is he spending, how much is he spending, when is he stress eating because his mutual fund portfolios are down, right? In fact, we can't even, we don't really, tell you which is your favorite payment app. We can possibly even predict what is your favorite pizza topping. So that is the kind of information we set with, right? But honestly, the goal is not really collecting data. It is actually connecting data, right? What are we doing with the data finally? Are we really creating a relevant experience for you as a customer? Or are we acting, in a creepy, snoopy manner saying that, hey, Lawrence, you are eligible for a 50 lakh personal loan. Why don't you buy this, right? Now the question in a customer's mind would be, how do you know how much I'm eligible for? And exactly right. So we don't really necessarily have to be snoopy that way. And AI beautifully does that, right? So AI can exactly predict, say when a customer is looking for a holiday or a flight ticket, right? Do we have the capability of telling the customer, do you want a travel card with that? Or Forex card with that? Instead of saying, sir, aap FD le lo, which doesn't make sense at all, right? So data today and AI today is all about connecting in the right way. It is about, so to say, humanizing data, where essentially machines and technology are doing all the heavy lifting for the customer at the back end quietly. And we, as marketeers, are showing complete empathy to the customer and saying, hey, we are available for you in case you need this, without really getting into that Snoopy zone. So I think how we are humanizing that data is really a challenge that we have to face.
Interesting, very interesting. Yeah, Nikita, coming to you from a Tata Capital perspective, how do you, and I'm sure this data is rightly available for you, and you must be having a trove of that, right? So how do you match AI and your data analytical skills to deliver this personalized and seamless customer experience?
So honestly, the target groups or the target audience that Tata Capital has is not a very metro first route that we tend to take, because usually a person would come to an NBFC for their requirement in very typical cases, like either they are not eligible for a bank loan, or they want a very higher amount, which probably banks have said no to, or they have people who have trusted in a specific NBFC, and then they have recommended that you should take a loan from a Tata Capital or any other NBFC for that matter. So for us, from an audience lens, it is more about what life stage this person is than the demographics or where this person is staying, etc. So I wouldn't say AI has helped us much there, but at the same time, it has definitely helped us modify in which, how, to what level are we segmenting or fragmenting the audience segments. Initially, the fragmentation of audience segments was very top level. Now, everything is broken down into different behaviors, into different consumption patterns, into different apps, into different platforms, into different thought processes. Like, for example, we feel that, people staying in the metros have a very high purchasing power. But honestly, if you look at Tier 1 and Tier 2 sectors or people over there, they have a much higher rate at which they have aspirations, dreams, to do things at a younger age, to accomplish more things. If we feel that, we want to buy a house in Mumbai, which will be like a smaller 1 BHK first home that people would be buying, they would ideally buy an entire building in Bangalore. We recently had a testimonial where there's a very young couple who's staying in Bangalore, and they bought a literally 3-floor building. That is their first house over there. And, they don't even, they're not even natives of Bangalore. They are from Rajasthan. And now they are settling in Bangalore after they've gotten married, etc. So it is very interesting as to the fragments at which AI enables us to understand the audience. But yeah, then maybe working with that data and how we are looking at targeting these audience segments, all of that is done in a more traditional way, I would say. Because we wouldn't want to depend on AI that much right now, because we've just started experimenting with AI. We've not full-fledgedly done a lot of things with AI, I would say.
But you see a huge opportunity to
Yes,
get there once you
absolutely,
get it.
absolutely. It has to, we have started embracing AI in a lot of ways, in spite of being a very legacy-heavy brand. And we are hoping in the next, as quickly as in the next year or in the next to next year, we should be utilizing AI at a much higher pace, for sure.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Yes, Rathin, from one legacy-oriented brand to another, how do you see this AI and data analytics and all coming together?
So let me give a couple of examples of certain pilots and stuff that we are doing. So one is, on an average year, we acquire around 3 to 3.5 crore customers, which is a massive base. They come from metros to really small towns. We have insurance for farmers, agri, and so on and so forth. So one of the things that we've been doing is, using AI to essentially create the communication and the content of the policy features, when premiums are due. And currently we are actually doing that in 16 languages. All of that and that's been possible just because of a lot of pre-work which gets done by AI, and then we kind of do the proofreads and so on. So that is one. Second is, we've actually, soft launched a product. It's called Pay As You Drive. So, and the logic for that is, if, in the metros, a lot of people have 2 cars, and the second car hardly does between 5 to 10,000 kilometers at best. So why would you want to pay and charge an average premium and get bucketed with, other customers who are, driving maybe 15, 20,000 kilometers, driving on highways where the risk metric is different. And that has a much lower premium, and you decide how much, what is the kilometers you want to pay, and therefore the premium kind of gets adjusted around it. And these things, I believe, will keep on getting sharpened and customized, so that, going forward, we don't have this in India yet, but typically somebody at 18 to 22 will have a higher risk profile and pay a higher insurance premium. Mid-30s may pay lower. As he goes 60 plus may pay higher. So all that personalization will come into pricing, which has started happening at some level. So that's the second part. Third, on our consumer app, and again, health insurance is a long-term product. People take it for 15, 20 years. We've actually added a feature by which a consumer can actually get a, do an iris scan and get a basic health scan done, which actually is, 90-92% accurate. There are a lot of data privacy issues and so on. So obviously we're not using it at any point of time. But I think if I were to project this years down, with consent, and with the adequate permissions and so on, I see no reason, if I'm more healthy than the average, 35, 40, 45, whatever, my age band, that why would I not demand a lower premium? And that will then ultimately translate into product pricing and so on. And all of this is kind of, available right now. One thing where you are using AI a lot actually is for fraud management. So, we process over 1 million claims, I think, a year. So typically, you would go give your car to a garage, the surveyor will come, check, and so on. Now, what we do is you can self-do it, or the garage guy does it on the B2B app, and he sends us the pictures, and we actually just run those pictures through our kind of software, and we are able to gauge whether there's an old damage which has been given the description of the report, whether it's actually something which has happened, or they're passing on 2-3 older damages along with it. So these are some of the examples where we're using it. Like I said, the way I see it is all of this is going to impact everything about the business model, from the products to the pricing to the distribution mechanism to the customer experience, all fronts, not just marketing communications alone.
So is it, would I be right in saying there's new data coming into the ecosystem, wherein this data can be further, looked at, and maybe case studies can be created, templates can be created to kind of hash it maybe further down. Like for example, you said if for the first level of insurance, if you're doing this kind of check, mostly from a car insurance perspective, it makes sense. Maybe not from a personal health perspective, but it does make sense. You used to have guys to go there and click a photograph. Instead of that, the consumer himself does it, and then you all check it at your end, which is pretty, the first level is taken care of. And you get repeat customers like that.
That's right. And so all of this ultimately, improves the customer experience, one, and also lowers your cost, which again feeds into the product pricing, allows you to penetrate deeper, all of that.
Makes sense. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, Varun, I'm sure you will have a lot to pass on to us in terms of how Motilal Oswal Financial Services does this.
Yeah, actually, when you look at data, right, technically for any app-first business, fintech business, and if your business is either a phygital business, which means like a physical and a digital culmination, right? We have about 8,000 partners across India. We have another couple of hundreds of our own branches. So acquisition happens at every single level and then different businesses. So technically there's a lot of data coming in on a month-on-month basis and a daily basis, right? So AI obviously has touched every corner of our business and life, right? From enhancement of data to predictive analysis to understand, look, how this person has been trading on futures and options, F&O, for a good amount of time. Eventually he's gonna burn out, right? Or he's going to stop trading with you after a certain time. So there's a lot of models now we started to build together to understand how can multiple data work together. See, data is great, but I think it needs to tell you a story, and more importantly, a more brand and a measurement story per se. Measurement again can be done, but again, what is that you output is the most critical part. So what we've realized is that data does the job, but I think what you take out of it is the most critical aspect. So we've started to leverage that very effectively in our brand campaigns then. So we see now remarketing obviously has been here for years and ages now, right? But then how can we smartly utilize data very, very swiftly to engage audiences, and retarget them, and before, after, through the funnel, all of that, in various permutation and combinations very smoothly. For someone, for example, as simple as someone who's at your cart, in our case, at the payment page, about to buy the mutual fund, and he's dropped off because he got diverted by another notification that came, right? So on and so forth. So how can you have through the journey this thing, and smart AI built in there to sort of give you triggers. So that's how.
Wonderful. Yes, Vishal, now coming to you. So I know that Hybrid is an AI-powered platform. And
Hello.
My question to you, and because it's AI, because it's so wonderfully put together with a lot of signals that it captures, data signals that come across, and the way that it shows the right kind of audience, the right kind of ad. So I'm sure putting together all these wonderful examples, and what would be your most wonderful and rather things that, or rather campaigns that you have seen through your experience, at how, what is a perfect example that you could give, putting all of these things together? Actually, the question is, what are some successful approaches or campaigns to build trust and loyalty among younger digital savvy customer? But I'm going to ask you a very different question, is examples that you have from your campaign structure that help in this.
Right. Thank you. So, since we have a mixed combination of the entire BFSI category, right from banking, financial services to insurance, and we cater to all these verticals, we have been meeting a lot of brands to understand their needs, their marketing objectives. From the contextual advertising solutions lens, the best practices, the approaches that we go to market with, because our platform again is AI-powered contextual advertising. The crux of the entire thing is that to serve everything in context, it has to be context-matched messaging, right? Deliver an ad where the user is in the current content with the kind of behavior that the user is showing, and then focus on that kind of articles, target the user while the user is in that kind of environment. For example, if the user is reading on investments, so an SIP education-based campaign would be a perfect targeting ad communication there. Or somebody who's reading about scams, a brand can message there, talk about how they can protect the user from frauds and scams. So contextual messaging is the crux of it, is how I understand the strategy has to be for the best practices to engage these consumers. Hyper-localization and cultural relevance is also come into the picture. So because it is not you can adapt creatives which can reflect local languages. It's festival time now. Again, your Diwali offers and your Eid offers are there in market. You can go to particular city and town, and as per their needs, like somebody in a random town like Kota can need a student loan. We can run a campaign there. We can go for MSME loans in Gujarat, that kind of players. So again, these kind of factors is how we approach the brand, is the kind of practice that we go to the brand with, and to understand if their sentiment to reach out to this market is there in the media brief. If not, then we also try to have that consultative approach, that this is the kind of leverage that you have over contextual targeting. Apart from that, you can educate, because it's again your digital savvy in next gen consumers. You need to be completely in the forefront with respect to education. You need to educate through your content in that context. You have that opportunity, so you can just tell somebody who's a first job seeker, you can just tell that how you have to start investing, how SIP can start with you. Or if you're looking for health insurance, if you're reading about an article on health insurance, you can talk about health insurance over there. There could be trigger-based personalizations. There could be articles where, the stock market or maybe the markets are at their low, and we have technology nowadays where we can integrate APIs and make them understand if the gold rate is going down, if the market rate is going up. If you want to invest right now, it's the right time. So to communicate with the user in that context, in that environment, is I think the best practices, and that is how you can add value. You can be relevant, you can be authentic, you can actually drive the right messaging. And just not that, even after your ad communication is out there, there has to be a seamless post-click experience. After the user is engaged and understands, okay, now I'm understanding the brand, so I can trust, and I want to read more about it. So it should land on something, a landing page which will have clarity, which will have something with respect to SIP. There has to be a calculator which the user can understand. You can just put in the monthly investment value or whatever the base value that they want to invest. So these kind of different examples are the kind of solutions that we go to the brand with. To cater to different digital audiences, because the kind of signals that we get in the context on the environment, and this is how this will get you more relevance, this will get you more interactivity, and again innovative formats and solutions in the context that you're serving could be rich in media, can have innovations, solutions like I said, API integrations can help you understand. That kind of audience will relate more, because high relevancy will then help you buy that loyalty and trust, because it will not be pushy ads. It will be in the context of the environment, right?
Understood. Thank you so much. The same question to you. In fact, all of you all. I'll start with Aashir. So what do you think is the best example that you can state to the audience of how you've put a new product up there? I know through time all of you all have actually given examples, but if you can just briefly tell us what has been the defining factor of this next gen tech or innovation that you all have bought in.
See, I think the question was about trust, loyalty, right? So in today's generation, actually, the definition of trust is very different, right? For our generation, for example, trust meant that you see a person in a suit, in a tie, in a grand office, and that adds credibility to your brand, to your product, right? That doesn't work anymore, right? Trust today means not this at all, right? Trust comes for this generation with experience and consistent experience, right? Are we being pushy about a product, or are we speaking to this customer where we are adding value to this customer's life, right? And that too in a format which is most relevant to this customer. Now, do not expect this generation to read 60 pages of your brochure. That's never going to happen. Don't expect them to go through your annual reports. That will never happen, right? So trust for them means a 60-second reel, right? That's how they would want to consume that data. So if you can explain a 60-page brochure in a 60-second reel, that for them is a way of consuming your information, right? And if you can consistently do that, that helps. Now, there is also a level of authenticity that this generation comes with. For example, say Amitabh Bachchan or a Shah Rukh Khan coming and saying mutual fund sahi hai, right? Versus a Neha Nagar or a Sharan Hegde in a reel saying that why is mutual fund important to you? These guys would definitely trust these influencers more than a Shah Rukh Khan or an Amitabh Bachchan who have absolutely no connection with the product which is financial in nature, right? So that's how they build their trust and their loyalty, right? The question is not about how do I reach out to them anymore. The question is about how do I become a relevant part of their digital scrolling now, right? If we manage to do that consistently, we won their trust. Yeah, I think that helps.
Kind of.
And also, I think Vishal was talking about educating. I think there's a new format today called edutainment, right? So edutainment works brilliantly well with this generation. Don't give me jargons. Don't give me this gyan about how financial products work, right? Entertain me and educate me at the same time.
I'll take the decision.
Yeah, and I'll take that.
I'll take the decision.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I think one more way of looking at the next gen is that sometimes they stand, in fact, most of the times they stand.
Carry on.
Yeah, they stand for things at a deeper level. Like for example, they are very much inclined towards brands who are sustainably responsible, right? So how can we integrate that and truly make a difference and be very transparent and candid with them? Because like he said, they don't go for jargons. They will not go for fake promises. They will not go for a Bollywood celebrity. But they would definitely do their research. So if we are claiming something that, as say for example, Tata Capital is making a difference at so and so level, they will do their research. They will go and check, what is the difference, what is the impact. So, we need to give them that or serve the next gen that on a platter. That, okay, these are my real faces. It's not just a gimmick. It's not just a way in which I'm selling my own product, because they respect brands and they connect with brands who are more than themselves, who go beyond to make a difference. So Tata Capital recently, did 2 campaigns. One was on Independence Day, which was Aaj Freedom Fighters. And second was just recently done on World Mental Health Day. Both the campaigns had a cause-driven approach. We didn't talk about our product. We did not talk about selling anything. We just connected with the audiences at a level where we said that, we understand where you all are coming from. And then later, for Mental Health Day at least, we, tied up with a well-being center, and we said, this is your number. If, if you need help, here's where we are. Because yes, sometimes financial stress is very overwhelming, and we understand that, being in the sector that we are. So it's also about owning up to where we are. They would not really just go to a brand because it has the best interest rates in terms of taking a loan. They would also look at the values that the brand is offering. So I think thinking from that perspective has definitely helped a lot of brands gain a brand lift for sure.
Wonderful. Yes, Rathin.
So I'll just keep it short. So I think the job of marketing remains to create consumer pull. The job of marketing remains to see that your brand is, at least in the consideration set of 100% of your target consumers, is the most preferred brand, is recommended the most, and all of these are measurable. The tools available today are much more. There's advertising, there is content, there is reels, there is so many other things, referrals, and so on and so forth. And the idea is to leverage all of them. And I think the last word I would say is that, to me, the one big differentiator in a format where where distribution is available digitally to everyone and so on, is actually going to be consumer experience and the customer experience. And any business which solves for that is actually going to kind of retain the customer the best.
Yes. Again, we'll keep it very crisp. We spoke about building trust, right? And building trust technically to me translates to building brand love. So how can a brand be relevant, available, and available in the format that the person wants to consume through the entire consumer journey? So if he's looking for reviews, be there as a brand. Have good reviews, have the hygiene checks done. If he's looking for advice, be there in terms of edutainment, right? If he or she is looking for, depending on the business and all of it. So, and more importantly, standing up for causes that that's native to the brand ethos, and also something that the investors believe or the consumers believe in. One of the things that we're trying to do is, scams are a big part of the Indian financial industry, not just in India, but also globally. About 1,700 crore oddly India lost to scams last year. Now, a thing like that, because we understand it's painful to lose your wealth, right? So we took a stance and had a point of view on that, where we went out and sort of, had our voice, whatever. The kind of response organically that you get is insane compared to the kind of money you'll spend in terms of promoting and amplifying it. So just that, something that comes to my mind.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone. You all have been really, thrashing it out for all the information that we have got. And thank you. Thank you so much.